Okay, everyone, welcome to UFTA Premium, and now we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, in-game scenarios, right? So it's kind of a little bit like chess, where you just have so many things you could study there at the end. UFTA is somewhat similar in the sense that you know, a lot of configurations, a lot of different variables, a lot of different scenarios can happen during in-game. And so you need to get a kind of a sense of like what you can expect. And so we're just going to go ahead and play out the scenario that we've laid out. This person has rolled a 4. One of the rules says that at any point in the game, a grower can reach into the draw bag without looking, mind you, or they can ask an opponent to do so and see how many crops are available, so they can all be prepared for final harvest, right? Because it does sort of matter. If you're genuinely competitive, you're genuinely interested in winning. So knowing that, this player has taken advantage of that. They know there's 2 crops left in the bag, but what is it they can and can't do? Right now they're on a regular farm roll that's productive, but if they do something that triggers the final harvest, the rules are written in such a fashion that the player who initiates the final harvest is allowed to finish what they were doing. Because final harvest can happen at any point during a particular grower's turn to play, right? And so what we're going to do is this person has decided that the first thing they want to do is go ahead and harvest. They have 2 crops, and in this particular case, we want to notice that this person owns the harvester, and so whatever anybody does, either during through normal gameplay or even during the final harvest, this person's going to be able to collect tokens based on everyone's obligatory sense of they have to they have to harvest, okay? And so this person is going to take advantage of that. So that's what we're going to do here. They're going to harvest potatoes and radishes. Very big score, right? But they also have to pay 4 tokens to the person who owns the harvester. And so they're going to pay this. Why do they get 4 tokens? Again, that's based on the fact that this person did work in 2 field spaces simultaneously, okay? They harvested 2 crops on 2 different fields, and that means multiple crop rule kicks into place, and then the cost of production is no longer 1 token, but in fact 2 tokens per activity on the field space. So that's why they paid that amount. Now, we follow the rules regarding normal harvest, and we have to replace whatever we just harvested, and that in fact depletes the bag. And so now we have final harvest. We have extra beans. Now we're just getting rid of the extra crops. We can only have 6, right? Okay, so here's something interesting we noticed. Chard, you can still play offensively even though we're on a final play, right? Because check it out. If I get rid of the chard, it goes up in here. It's going to decrease the value of the peas, which is what this grower has. So I can kind of play, what do you call it, a little bit, a final denouement. You go right here. We move the chart up in value, peas moves down. And so it's kind of like a cheap shot there at the end. But, it is what it is. Okay, so that depleted the bag. Now, because this happened on this particular grower's turn, they can finish whatever actions and activities they have. They've only done 1 action, so they have other possibilities that they can do. One of them is they could unleash this adversity card. They could either liquidate funds if they want to, or they could, I should say because, activities are unlimited, and that should be clear. If you have a particular item, I have the trading house. I can do the activity of using the trading house, but I can't use the activity of trading the trading house an infinite amount of times, of course. So we're going to do this. We're going to, let's just check out this adversity card and see what options are available. And so we have to say, hey, this is a pretty powerful card, but we have 10 tokens on it. And we're like, I don't know if we should do this or not, right? And so it's up to this particular grower's choice to decide, well, what do we really want to do? If you want to use the adversity card, the penalty is whatever those tokens were that accumulated during the growing season are going to be lost. But it's a powerful card, and you will be able to use it on your fellow growers. Except you do, of course, have to be wary of the fact that they may have built their defenses up by then. And if you bring a failed attack on others because of their defense, it rebounds against you, and you, of course, have to suffer the penalty of something similar to tractor return, where you lose an item. So anyway, there's that to figure out. In this particular case, we've decided we're not going to use that adversity card. We're just going to hang on to it. We like it. It's 15 total tokens, right? 5 plus 10. And so let's just kind of hang on to it. And it's well protected as far as we can tell. And we know that Final Harvest, this is the other aspect of Final Harvest. Once that kicks in, the only thing that anyone can do is harvest. So this person doesn't need to be concerned about, oh man, who's gonna attack me here at the end, right? Everything just pretty much freezes. It's sort of a sudden death. And then once this player has tidied up their loose ends, cleaned house, whatever they need to do to prepare for the end, they're allowed to do it. And then the other growers just simply harvest, okay? And so that's what's going to happen here. Now we're going to move on over here, and we're going to say, hey, this person, they just need to harvest peas and kale. However, we've noticed that they don't have any tokens, right? Now, here's the deal. This person owns the harvester. They still get credit for any harvesting that happens during Final Harvest, right? And moreover, they don't have to pay anything. So it's doubly good, right? No cost for them, and revenue coming in. So a very good handy card to have. So what's going to happen over here? This person has no tokens. However, they are not obligated. They have 10 tokens over here in liquidation funds, right? These are market tokens that could be liquidated in order to cover that cost. Well, they are not compelled to do that. They don't have to do it. They can simply do their normal harvesting, and it's sort of like a debt-free thing, because the funds don't come from them. It's going to come from the depository itself. So this person still gets to collect, but if this person happens to not have any tokens, they don't have to dip into any liquidation funds or do any difficult things along those lines. Okay, and so now we're ready to harvest. And if you notice, in this particular case, this person has the high tunnel, and we have 3 crops. Well, when you're going to bring 3 crops in with the high tunnel in use, it means they are only going to cost 1 token, right, to do everything, because that is the cost of using the high tunnel. It's just simply 1 activity to bring in all the crops with the harvester. Okay, so instead of costing you 1, 2, 3, or maybe even 6 tokens, right? Because you're like, wow, it's multiple. Why wouldn't it be multiple, right? Because it's only working on 1 field space. The multiple crop rule affects multiple fields, and in this particular case, we only have items growing in 1 field space, and so the cost of production is 1 token. So this person, they lack the funds. They don't have to dip into their liquidation possibilities with a marker token. The funds actually come from the depository and goes to this person, and it's only 1 token for all of these to be brought into market. Now, of course, when you go to do the actual harvesting, the kale, of course, they planted it on the right cover crop, and so they're going to get the bonuses for that, because the kale, if you'll notice, is cultivated. It's ripe and ready, okay? So they get full credit, and they're eligible for any bonuses. Peas, on the other hand, if you notice, it does not match with the right cover crop. However, the peas are ripe and ready in the market. So what does that mean? Well, unfortunately, when it comes to final harvest, this is a special rule and you do need to take note of it. Final harvest has a hard and fast rule about the condition of crops when you bring them into the market. They have to be ripe and ready. If they're not ripe and ready, then none of the bonuses that are listed on the game board right here, and most importantly, no UFTAs are available if the crop is not been cultivated and ready to harvest. And so what we're looking at here is peas, again, haven't been cultivated. And so regardless of their status in the market, whether they're ripe or whether they're not, they only get half value. Okay, so we bring the peas to market, we notice that it's at the 5 spot, we completely disregard the fact that the peas are ripe, and we only get half value, which is 2.5. 2.5 rounds up to 3. So we would only get 3 tokens for that. Right? So there's 3 tokens for the peas. And then we, of course, we can harvest our kale. Normally you would, the better practices, the better habit is to go ahead and harvest the kale. Harvest your most valuable crops first and work your way down. So kale is ripe and ready. So they would get 13 and then they would get 12, right? And this would bump down twice. 13, 12 is 25. Still not a subsidy, by the way, just so you notice. Okay, put this over. No cropped, of course, and so you don't have to worry about that. And then all that's left to do in this particular example is we just harvest the potatoes over here. They can't do anything. There's nothing available with the diversity cards. There's no activities. You got one option. You either harvest or you don't. Okay? But the nice thing is this person owns the harvester, so they do not pay for the potatoes to bring to market. Their potatoes are not ripe, and so even though they planted it on the right cover crops, they're thinking, oh, I get 3 extra points. Not the case. Potatoes are as is, and they just get half of 11, which is their spot in the market. 5.5 rounds up to 6. Okay. And that's all she wrote for that. And now everyone has finished the final harvest. This person, of course, got to tidy up their loose ends because they initiated final harvest in the middle of their turn. So we tidied up, we cleaned house, we did everything we could within our capabilities, and then gameplay rotates to the left, and we just go clockwise. They complete their harvest, and that's all there is to it. Other than tallying the score and figuring out exactly who had the most tokens, the most assets, that's all there is to do. So I do hope this example was illuminating for you. It certainly was for me, because even though I've tried this many times, there's still the beauty of the game is there's still a lot to explore. There's kind of an endless melange and sea of possibilities just waiting to be explored. And so thank you very much, and hope to see you next time.